Good evening, all. Good evening. Good evening. So, I know you guys might have been losing mind on the program, but I want to encourage everybody that this program is going to get to React. We should keep on pushing and striving to get to the end of the program. Uh, I'm so sorry for missing last week. Throughout last week, kind of choked up with so many projects on my hands, so kind of trying to meet up with deadlines. And so that was why I had to shift last week classes. But all the same, I believe we are still going to get to React. So this is the bedrock of React. JavaScript is, let me not say the bedrock, this is the bedrock of your, this is the uh, part that will make you a strong front-end developer, which is JavaScript. And we are going to be doing a lot of things with JavaScript, but the best way to learn program is by personal practice. It's not by coming to lectures and just following through, but it's by personal practice. If you keep on practicing, you at the end of the day you get to learn more and learn very well. So let's keep on practicing, let's keep on pushing. I believe you're going to get to the end of this program. So let's just go straight to what we have. So I'm sharing my screen now. So we are using javascript.info to flow. So last time we stopped at we did uh okay, we have done prompt, we have done alert, we have done confirm, which coalescing operator, and then I think that is where we are. We have done if and else conditional. I think here we have done conditional variables. Yeah, we have done this. So we are in Norwich coalescing, then we'll go to let's see debugging on we'll jump this and we'll go straight to objects. Okay, we have talked about comments. We've talked about comments. What we'll be doing is the most important things that you need. That's what we're going to be focusing all our strengths on. We're not going to go beyond that. And so let's continue. Let me open my code base and let's continue from where we stopped. Let's see where God will help us to reach today. And let's see, we'll be doing a lot of practice, a lot of practical. I'll look for assignments that you guys will work on. Okay, we're in JavaScript. Okay. So we have talked about comments, we talked about if condition, we talked about confirm, we talked about prompt, we talked about alert. And so let's see where we are now. So since we have talked about this, that means we have talked about this. So this is where we stopped in our last class, Norwich coalition operator. Don't even know, but I feel we have passed here. But all the same, let's just touch it. And Norwich coalition operator states that If A is wrong, the answer will be for B. B will be returned. What do I mean? Let me use this word. If, let's say, for instance, I want to return constant, the correct, the correct, correct value. Uh, and we use results. So this now, if result is wrong, that means this variable will be housing Joshua. But if result is correct, this variable will be returning results, not Joshua anymore. So once result is correct, it will not go to Joshua. It will not return Joshua. But if result is correct, it will return Joshua. If result is correct, it will return results, not Joshua. So that is what Norwich coalition operator states. So that is what Norwich coalition operator is talking about. If this value is correct, it returns it. But if this value is wrong, it goes to this one. But it always check the first value first. Once the first value is correct, it returns it. But if the first value is wrong, it does not care about it again. It goes to the B value. And whichever value the B value is, whether correct or wrong, it returns it that way. So that is for Norwich coalition operator. Let's go straight. So you can still use a comparison, which is just an or sign. So this says that if A is correct, it returns A. That is the first name. If the first name is correct, it returns the first name. Then it goes to the second one, which is the last name. Check for the last name. If the last name is correct, it returns the last name. And it goes to the next one, check. But if first name is correct, it does not really bother going to the next one. So it states that the OR operator can be used in the same way as the Norwich coalition operator. So just like what it is, like we said, if first name is correct, it returns it. But if first name is not correct, it goes to last name. And if last name is correct, it returns last name. But if last name is not correct, it goes to nickname. If nickname is correct, it returns nickname. But if nickname is not correct, it goes to what? Anonymous, which is the last one. And if all of them are not correct, it will definitely return anonymous, whether correct or wrong. So same as the or operator, which is the double slash. So we can still use the double slash arrow here. We can still use it here also. So the both of them will perform the same operation. That is what they were trying to tell us. And the both of them can still perform the same operations. So let's scroll down. I'm just trying to run around this. So we'll come back and start doing practical. So you can see something like this. The or operator does not really consider the knowledge coalition operator does not really consider a truth value like Zero is not a truth value, zero is a false value. So as far as there is something here, it returns it. But this aspect now, the OR operator can always consider the truth value if zero is true or not. But we know that zero in programming is a false value. That is why on this end, it returns 100 because zero is a false value. But the knowledge coalition operator, which is the double question mark sign, did not really consider that aspect for us, that zero is a false value. So that is all we need to know for now concerning this. So let's talk about the why and the for loop. Excuse me. So the why and the for loop. There are two big difference you need to consider in terms of why and for loop. You should. Okay, sorry, my volume. Sorry for that. Okay, if you're hearing me now, you can just uh, repeat. Okay, for and why loop, there are two things. There is one thing you need to consider in terms of choosing which one to go for in terms of for and why loop. So for the for, we consider the for loop when we know the length of the array. Now, when we don't know the length of the array, we consider the while loop. I think that will make sense for now. Let me just use that for now. When we know the length, we use the for loop. When we don't know the length, we use the while loop. Not that you cannot use the while loop when you know the length, though, but in most cases, not that in most cases, in every cases of the native for loop, not the for in or the for each or the for of. I'm not talking about those ones. We always consider that array, what we are looking to, must have a specified length. It must have a specified length. If it does not have a specified length, then we can't look through it. There is no possible way we can look through it. using the for loop, but you can loop through it using the while loop. So let me come again. Before we go into writing code, when considering the for loop and the while loop, you consider the while loop at all instances when you know the length of the array. But when you don't know the length, you can use the word the while loop. Not that you cannot use the while loop when you know the length, but in every cases of the for loop, it must be that the length is known or the length can be predicted. Okay. Looking for an array that we can use. Okay, let's just use array of numbers. Okay, now let me comment this. Array data equals to this array. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now, for the fact that we know the length, what are we going to use? For loop. Now let's see how to use for loop in this scenario, and let's understand for loop. What are we going to do? For first, you can. So I just want you to understand this now. Let's use this breakdown. Now the for loop has its major statement inside the bracket. You can see it. The for loop has its major instance inside the what? The bracket. The major explanation inside the bracket. Now, the first, we have three scenarios here. This is one, which are differentiated by a semicolon. This is one, this is two, and this is three. So the first one states you must first of all initialize a value that you will use in terms of accessing the array. I want to use something that you guys will understand. You must first of all initialize a value that you will use at all points to access the array, which is this first one we have done, which is let integer equals to 0. Now you can see that we actually define the integer, the index, sorry. Let index equal to 0. You can see that we actually define the index. So the next one there is to define the length. This is where we know the length. Now, like I said, when you know the length, or the length is being predicted. So the length can be predicted, the length can be known. So now in this scenario, we are predicting the length. How? Array data dot length. So you are predicting that array data dot length will give us the length of this particular array. Array data dot length, we are predicting that it will be the length of this array, which is, or we can still say we want to get the length of the array by ourselves since we know it. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can still use 4 here. But the main reason why I'm not using that 4, because you can still change the content of the array. I can say I want to increase the array. I can say I want to add more value on the array. I can say I want to utilize the value that is inside the array, which can tamper with the array data and reduce the content of the array or increase the content of the array. So what am I going to do? I'm going to always use array data.length so that in case you increase the array, I don't need to come back and start also incrementing my value of length of array by myself. So once I increase the length of the or data of the array, automatically it syncs and does its manipulation for us and increase the length by itself because we have array dot data there. So that is it concerning indicating the length. So you always try to see if there's any way to do it. So avoid repetition. If there's any way to do it so that you avoid repetition one, and you also avoid repetition one, and you also avoid rewriting the length or writing data of the array. That is why on this point I just have to do array dot length. Like I said, I can still do write 4 here, but if I increase here, I have to increase here. So let's increase here. Let's do something. Let's not be that I'm saying it. Let it not be I'm saying let's run this code. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So because of we use what 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we use 4 as the length. Now we have this. So let's use this and see something. Let me also increase this one and see. So you see 6. You can see nothing is happening. But if I do this dot length, you can see automatically it brought from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And even if I increase it, even if I increase it, it will still increase by itself because we're using a dynamic way to access the value, which is what array dot length, which is the dynamic way we are using to access the value. So now what we did here was to say if 0, which is this is 0, if 0 is less than array dot length, if 0 is less than array dot length, that's the first initial value, which is 0. Now it goes to this point. What does this point do? This point simply means plus 1. This is what that plus plus means. Index plus plus. It means index plus 1. And let's try and run it and see if it is wrong. what this means, what that plus means, why is this not supposed to? Let me see something. One, the sim. Let's just put it in mind like that. I think maybe something is wrong somewhere. I don't think it can work here. But what it means, what this index means, it means index plus one. That is what it means. So when this zero now, let's say this zero runs this point and it's coming back, it will now do what? Add another one to this, which is make it one. Well, let me show you something. Let me run this code and you see something. So let's see. So now this is means zero. And to count this now is we use zero, one, two, three, four, five, six. That is the way to access the value. The first value here, which means zero. The second value here means one. Let's just use this to access it and you see. First equals to array data zero. So if I use array data zero now, it means that for me to access, if I use zero now, it means I'm accessing one. Let's do constant console.log. Trying to explain something to us. Console.log. Um, console.log first. So if I run this, so watch. Here I have first, which means one. So if I do array angle bracket zero, it means I'm accessing one. It means I'm accessing what? One. Let's try for the second one. Let's use. So you can see I'm having one, two. But how did I access this one and two? I use zero, one. So here it means this space means index zero. This space means index. This space means index three, index four, index five, index six. Okay, let me change here to 20. Let me change here to 13. Let me change here to 45. And let's see. So you can see the first one here means index of zero. The second one here means index of two. So it does not matter how big the number is. All that matters is the counting, how to access the value of the array, how to what access the value of the array. That is what actually matters. So let's see. So let's start first of all with something. I feel I'm kind of high faster. So now in terms of looping, the major things you loop in JavaScript, like looping, is array or object in terms of looping. But to loop an object, you just have only one way to loop an object. To loop through an object, only one way, which I'll be showing us. But to loop through an array, we have multiple ways. Now we are dealing with arrays first. We will come to objects and we'll see the way to loop an object. So now to deal with an array, first of all, we need to know how an array looks in JavaScript. So the way an array has an opening angle bracket and a closing angle bracket. That is what we call an array. An opening angle bracket and a closing angle bracket. How? This is an angle bracket, but this one now is empty. The array there, the ARR is what is an array. What is what is empty. So how are we going to see data in it now? Now, if you want to access this, you can't access it because it's empty. Let's say for example we add 20, 40. Now it has value. You can access it, but there are ways to access. Now let's say for instance I want to consider log the first value. I needed the first value. I just want the first value. So I will just do array 0. The first value there means what? 0. That is what the first value there means. So access it, use what? Index 0. That's how I said index what? 0. Now, what do I mean by index 0? What I meant by index 0 is the first value here is at index of 0. That is what I mean by index 0. The starting value. So that is it for that one. And if we want to access the second value there, which is 40, how are we going to do about it? That's why we now use what? ARR1. So if we use this ARR1, automatically, we can access the second value, which is 40. Let's try it now. Node. But before you start with JavaScript, please let's try and install Node on our system. We're using Linux, we're using Mac. Let's try and install Node. Is it scr.js? Okay, it's console.log. So you can see 20 and 40 here now, which is index of 0 and index of what? 1. So we have index of 0 and index of what? 1. So that is it. Index of 0 means 20, index of 1 means 40. So that is how to know an array. I just want to explain it before we come to the for loop. I'm still going to come to the for loop, but I want to explain this so that you understand an array, how to know an array, how to like know that this index of zero. So I'll come to the array now, or why you will not be getting it's difficult to understand. So let's go to this now. I feel we have been able to understand this aspect now. How to know an array. So let me just do a simple, let me see if there's any question for me. Okay, there is none. So let's just do a quick one in terms of array. So for me to access numbers is, let me say this. I need to start from here, zero, one. I don't need to start from one, one, two, three, four, five, six. If I go and do six here, I will not be getting the right value. I might be getting seven. So you can see it. Second, six. So you start from zero, zero, one, two, three, four, five. So if I put five here instead of six, I run the code, you will see that I'm having six, which is the correct value that I want to access. Let me write five and see. Let me write four and see. You will see that you will get 45. So we can see that we have 45 now. No longer, so we are having 45, no longer six. Now we are using four. So that is the way to access an array with that is having an angle bracket. We use the indexing to access it. And the indexing always starts from what? From zero. It doesn't start from one. It always starts from zero. Regardless the amount of data that is inside the array, we always start from what? From zero. So let's go to the array now and the looping. So we have been able to understand that the indexing of an array. So now, likewise here, as let index equal zero. When zero gets to this place, zero goes down, and here becomes array zero. So if it becomes array zero for the first one, that's why you now be seeing one here. See one. So if it goes, this is a loop, it goes until it gets to the point where index is greater, or index cannot be less than the array dot length. Once when it gets to that point that index cannot be less than, it will continue to run. So when it gets to that level, it continues to run until all instances run. And you see your answer or your result or what you want to see after the looping has been done. So let's continue. So if I go to the next one, after getting one and it gets to this point, it increments the value again to the index value to one. And it comes here and puts it just like we are doing 0, 1 for the indexing to access the value. That is what this array, this for loop will do. Accessing of the value using index. So until it gets to the final value, and once it's done running the final value, it will automatically break. To automatically break and go to the other value and run them. So that is it for loop. So let's see. That is it for loop. Let's see while loop and we'll see for we'll see do while loop and we'll see for in and we'll see for all. And we are done for today. Let's see. Let's see. So what we are going to be looking at now is while loop. So, like I said, we can still use while loop to run data that are not, how will I put it, that we don't know or we can't predict the the length. We have to use while loop. But not that we cannot use that on while loop when we know the length. We can still use that on while loop if we know the length. But the most efficient way to do that is when you know the length, you use for loop. When you don't know the length, you use while loop or do while loop. So whichever one that works well is what we are going to be using. Whichever one that works well in our project is what we are going to be using. Whichever one that gives us the main thing that we need in terms of looping through and getting the right idea is what we are going to be looking at. Now, in while loop, let's see how we write our while loop. Let's see, this is our for loop. Now, let's write our while loop. Why? Now, the while loop always come with condition. Condition first. The while loop always come with conditions. So condition of what you want to run. Just like what we did, index less than array.length. You can still take that. This is your condition. I can still take that and place here. Then also, now after we have written the conditions, the next thing to write is the body. Then now, then the next thing to write is your increment. So now we have to now do index increments. So this is where we do our increments in while loop. After writing the condition, you write your statement, what you want to do. Then after you have done that, you now increment the data and it will go and start again until it gets to the point where index is greater than array data dot length. So let's run this. Let me comment this and you will see. So you can see that we are still able to run this despite we know the length. So, but if you don't know the length, you can still run it. But just that most times we use to run uh we always run whichever stuff we want to run with while loop. But in for loop, we always run our code that has been settled with in while loop. And whether we know the length, we don't know the length, we run it. We run it. It will work for while loop. But in for loop, we automatically use to always know the length. We will always want to know the length before we move further in while loop. But in for loop, we don't need to know the length. But in while loop, we really need to know the length. So that is that for while loop. You can see the code. As time goes on, we'll be writing multiple code. We're writing serious code. So let me write down our assessment, our take home assignments. So we can try this on our own, drop it on the chat. I'm still also going to drop it on our, I'll drop them also on our group chat. So this one is going to work also. This one is number two, then we have to write the code. So these two, I'll drop it also on the group chat. So I will not want us to go further beyond here. So if you have any question, you can ask. If you have any question, by Thursday, we'll be doing a lot. Also, we're doing uh for in for each. I will try and see if we can enter objects. They will start writing some serious stuff. I want us to understand this before we go into the what's it called? Before we go into building on DOMs, like building inside our browser and writing JavaScript code. I want us to get the basic first, which is the most important thing. Getting the basic understanding. When you get to that point, even if you're watching video, you already understood what you are watching. That is it. If you have any question, you can ask. So if there are no question,